Good afternoon, my dear students. I welcome you all to the session on how to approach the examination for CA Foundation paper 1 accounting, and we will do a quick revision of one of the trickiest chapter, which is non-profit organization. So meanwhile, when other students join in, I know if you have any specific doubts, if you have any specific concerns, please feel free to share it out here, and I will try to resolve them all. I hope your preparation is going great. You have been able to revise. You have been able to attempt your mock test papers. You have listed down all the trickiest assumptions that can come. And I hope you have also referred to the past exam papers and the RTPs and MTPs, whatever are available. So let me just share my screen. Good afternoon, Yog. Good afternoon, Arthi. Good afternoon, reality views. We have a few more students joining in, so we will wait for a few moments and then we'll start off. How is the feeling just before the examination? Many of you would be writing it for the first time, a professional examination. Are you scared, nervous, confident? So I'm sharing my screen. I hope you'll be able to see it. If yes, just let me know. Few things before we jump into the actual subject of non-profit organization. I would like to cover a few aspects, especially because this is your first examination, not the first exam of your life, but this is the first professional examination that you would be writing, right? So far you have written your school exams, 10th boards, 12 boards. So when you wrote the 10th board for the first time, that was also the first time. Now for a professional exam, this is the first time. Now a lot of us would be having some kind of notions or fear, like the paper would be tough, the corrections would be tougher, it is very difficult to pass, right? A lot of these doubts would be going around in your mind. Maybe similar thoughts were also going on in your mind when you were writing your 10th or 12th exams, right? But now, because it is professional exams and we know that generally the pass percentages have been lower and people say that it is one of the toughest examination, so that builds a lot of fear in us before even we take up the examination. So first thing, I want you to dismantle the fear. I want you to dismantle the fear, remove the fear out of your thoughts, because let me tell you, though it is a professional examination, it is as good as any other examination that you have written, maybe your 10th or maybe your 12th. I am not saying that this is easier than 10th or 12th. What I'm saying is this is another examination of next level. So think of a cricket player. You would be playing maybe a T20, a one-day international, and a test match, right? So you are upgrading yourself. Here also you are upgrading yourself. Till the time you have completed your syllabus thoroughly, you are conceptually clear, you have practiced enough, there is nothing to fear. What you need to do is, with all your preparation, with all your knowledge, you need to go to the examination hall. Those 3 hours you need to perform well. And if you perform well, I do not see any issue in getting those passing marks or exemption marks for you. Now, paper is important that you write this paper well. Otherwise, what would happen is, if this paper goes bad, it will have an impact on the coming up papers. And accounting as such is a scoring subject. You will be writing accounting examinations at your CA inter levels, at your CA final levels. You would be this paper will be coming back to you again and again, and this will be the first paper, and you have to give your best in this first paper. And this paper has one unique advantage, that is, you can allot how many number of days you want before the examination. Other exams you get only 1 day to prepare, but for this exam you can take 2 days, 3 days time also for your preparation. So this has an advantage. This is scoring. It is slightly difficult, but it is not impossible. So this is one thing I want every one of you to be clear. In fact, when I wrote my first paper P1 way back in 2006, I had similar fears, like what kind of questions would come, will I be able to finish all the paper, all those things. After I wrote the exams, I realized were not so critical questions. The question is, will you be able to cover 80%, 90%, or 100% of the paper in the given 3 hours time? That is a good enough attempt for you. So please keep this in mind. Any kind of fear, please remove that fear. It is going to be any normal examination that you'll be facing. In fact, I will run you through one of the attempt paper, that is July 21 paper, and we'll see a lot of questions are straightforward, easy questions. 50 to 60% of the question paper, it is easy for you to manage. Any difficult question, one of those questions you can leave as choice, and then you have to manage just the balance 20-30 marks to reach the passing marks of 50 or 60. Please don't think passing marks is 40. Please consider passing marks to be 50. Right? This is one context I wanted to set before I started off with the session. Okay, so a lot of you are saying nervous, and if you have any queries, yes, when I am opening up the query window, you can definitely ask then, right? So that is one thing. Now, before exams, what should be done? So this is a paper, as I told you, you can allocate, if you want, you can allocate 3 days. If you want, you can allocate 2 days, up to your level of preparation and up to your comfort. I leave it up to you. I don't say that you spend 5 days or 4 days. Your comfort level, you should decide. Now, in those 2 to 3 days period, whatever you are allocating, you have to ensure that all the trickiest or difficult problems that you had marked, don't solve them. This is not the time to solve the entire study material again. Only the trickiest and difficult adjustments or concepts, please ensure you revise them thoroughly. Now, one advantage for you in this paper is like things like preparation of final accounts of companies, final accounts of sole trading companies, concerns, and all of those. You have already done in 11th standard and 12th standard. Concepts are same, just that difficulty levels would be slightly higher. Again, fundamental principles of accounting, your bank reconciliation statements, your rectification of errors, all of these things you have done it in the past. Just that this paper will be slightly more at a higher level, I should say. So where you need to apply your patience and concepts. So it's not that you do not know the concepts. See, there are specific chapters which you would be reading for the first time. That would be there. But almost 40 to 50% of the syllabus you have already covered in 11th and 12th standard. This is just an upgrade over that. So keep that in mind and don't try to finish up the entire reading all the study material and all of those things. Look at specific questions, specific concepts that you were finding it difficult. Okay, now let me take you through a recent paper. We'll run through that so that you get an idea of how you should approach a paper. Okay, so let me just share this paper with you. Yeah, so this is July 21 paper. I picked up the recent one. Okay, now let us break this question paper down. The moment you get this question paper, the first thing you see here is attempt question number 1 is compulsory, that is a 20-mark question, and attempt any 4 questions out of remaining 5 questions. So out of 5 questions, out of remaining 100 marks, you need to write only for 80 marks. Okay, that is one thing. So whenever you get the paper, as soon as you get the paper, you don't read this question number 1, because whether you read it or you do not read it, you do not have a choice. You have to write this question. Okay, so don't waste your time in reading and analyzing this question paper. The first 15 minutes of your time should be to analyze the remaining 5 questions and which one will you not write. Okay, which one will you not write? Right now, coming to question number 1, generally the pattern has been true or false, 6 questions, or sometimes they may give 8 questions. It keeps on changing. We cannot have a static format, but still true and false question. Now, state with reasons whether the following statements are true or false. Now, a lot of students, what they do is they just write true and false and then they come back. You will not get marks for that. Some students, what they do is, say for example, the public in general. They say it's a false statement. Reason they will give: a company is not allowed to issue shares at discount to the public in general, and they'll come back. That is not sufficient. You need to write something extra which helps the examiner to understand that you know this concept properly. Okay, so whenever you are writing these answers, you please have a look at the past suggested answers and all of that. You have to clearly mention whether it is true or false and give reasons for why you think it is a true statement or a false statement. Okay, so and how to get comfort over this? There are, so right from 2018, you have, 18 attempt, 19, 20, 21, so many attempts have passed by. Pick up those, try to revise and try to see whether you will be able to write them properly or not. And this is purely your concepts. This is purely your concepts, nothing to learn by heart. If you understood the concept, you will be able to attempt this. Okay. Then sometimes a small theory question, sometimes a practical question, and then another working question. Okay. So the first question, then the differences and all. Then this question, if you see, rectification. Now, one thing I have observed amongst a lot of students is they face a lot of challenges in rectification and BRS related question. Some or the other point of confusion. Now, yes, sometimes the adjustments might be tricky. You may find it difficult to attempt them. But let me tell you, when you get these 8 questions, right, 1 to 8, each question will carry 1 mark or 1.5 mark. So each of these adjustments will carry 1 or 1.5 mark. Maybe possible you do not know one specific entry. Let us say for argument's sake, this particular entry, I don't know how to answer this question. Okay, write remaining 8. For that, you'll get marks. So these kind of questions are such that for every question, so for every entry, you will get 1 to 1.5 mark. Okay, that's how these 8 entries would make up to 10 marks. And please write narration. Please write narration as well. Okay, then from the following balances, ascertain the cash book of Mr. Bajaj. This is a question related to cash book or VRS you can consider. Again, a simple question. Again, for every adjustment. Now, why am I emphasizing this again and again? Because a lot of us feel that unless we write the full question paper 100 marks correctly, we will not get marks. No, it is not that way. Out of these 5 adjustments, maybe you will do 3 adjustments correct. You will get 3 marks for that. Please keep that in mind. Okay. Out of these 8 entries, you posted 5 entries correctly. You will get 5 marks for that. So, and also even here, if you calculate the book value and the depreciation partly correctly, partly incorrectly, or part which is correct, you will get marks. So accounting is such a paper where stepwise marking helps you a lot. And it is always in the favor of the student. So don't worry if you do not know one single adjustment, just ignore that and do the remaining part. Okay. So that was about this. Then simple question on inventory, 5 marks. Okay. Writing of narration is very, very important. Right. Then this is a BRS. Average due date, a question where you cannot lose marks because format is standard. Format is standard. Formula is standard. Just you need to ensure you count the dates properly. You count the date properly, number of days properly, you are through. Okay. Then the next one is on sale and return. Again, a specific, simple entries related question. Then consignment account. Now, again, if you see consignment account, a lot of us find again, that accounting of consignment as difficult. Sometimes we feel and adjustments are complex. Again, consignment, treat it as if it is a separate trading P&L account. All the expenses debited, all the incomes credited. You will have a question where you have to value normal loss, abnormal loss. If you master that and if you can calculate the commission correctly, there should not be any challenge. There should not be any challenge. And again, why am I running you through the question paper? Just to tell you that most of the questions that you see will be easy to attempt. There will not be any challenge. For example, let me give you a simple example. Average due date. It's a question which is a single standard format. Then inventory valuation. This is a simple question where you need to just value the inventory by calculating the gross margin, right? Consignment. A very small question, right? What does it have? We know they will give us some information on lost in transit. That is the thing we know. They will give us, or we need to know how to calculate inventory. See, these are the tips or tricks you need to know when you are attempting the paper. Other than that, it is just picking up the right numbers. If you stay calm in your examination, if you are, relaxed in your examination, you just need to pick up the right numbers from the question and put it down on your paper. And again, in all of these question paper, let's say, let's look at consignment account solution. Right here, let us say you wrote 3 plus 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, let's say you wrote 8 entries correctly. You will get proportionate marks for that. Don't need to worry about it. No need to worry about the question, the entire answer being incorrect or not. No need to worry about that. You just need to think of how many entries have you made written correctly. To that extent, you will get the marks. Okay. And yes, one more important thing I didn't mention so far. Working notes are very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. Even for a simple calculation, you have to show the working note. Okay. Then this is a question on P&L, and then there is a question on non-profit organization. Again, a lot of us face challenges, or we feel that our balance sheet will not tally, that is the thought process with which we go to the examination. Forget the part that the balance sheet is not tallying. I will teach you when I'm taking you through the non-profit organization revision, the trick to ensure that the balance sheet will tally. See, tallying a balance sheet is not a challenge. Even if you take all the items on the debit side and put them in the P&L, everything, and all the items in the credit side and put them in the P&L, your balance sheet will still tally, because you are taking a tallied trial balance. From that, you are required to prepare P&L in most of the cases. Now, here in this case, there is no trial balance which is given, but generally, when you take up the trial balance, which is already a tallied trial balance, you have to take the debit items. Debit items can go to either the expense side or to the asset side. Credit item can go either to the income side or to the liability side. Profit or loss you compute, you post it in the balance sheet. Adjustments will have two-side impact. That's it. Then, if the numbers are already tallied in the trial balance, then why will the P&L or balance sheet not tally? Only problem could be you took something from the debit side and you posted it as income item, then it will not tally. Or you took up some item from the debit side, you took the wrong amount. In that case, the P&L or trial balance will not tally. Balance sheet will not tally. Otherwise, you take line by line item, take the items from the debit side, put them on the respective expense or the asset side. Take line by line item on the credit side, put them on the income side or the liability side. 101% it will tally. 101% it will tally. So please keep that in mind, that tallying the balance sheet should not be a challenge. You should worry about whether you have picked up the right numbers. And let me tell you, generally, when we are correcting papers, there is no marks which is given for totals of the balance sheet. Let me make that sense. Generally, sometimes 1 mark or half mark may be given, but the thing is whether the amounts inside the balance sheet or the P&L are correct or not. That is what is more important. So if I have to show you this NPO problem, we'll discuss it later as well. If I have to tell you, okay, this is the balance sheet I'm showing you, nobody, this will not carry marks, because if all of these are correct, and if all of these are correct, this automatically will be correct. This is just a mathematical competition. I'm not saying don't total up, but I'm saying that may not carry marks sometimes. So what is important? Picking up the right information from the question and placing them correctly. Okay. So sometimes, even if you do, let us say, only the balance sheet part. So there are how many entries? One. So this will be about 1 mark. These two will carry about half mark. This will be about 1 mark. So about 4 marks for this balance sheet. Okay. So that is how you have to think. Every amount you write correctly in the balance sheet will fetch you marks. Sorry. Right? Again, as I told you, working notes very, very important. Okay. Then prepare purchase book, standard format that you have to do. Right. Then joint life policy. A lot of us find challenges. Just revise through the different varieties of treatment. That should be easy. And then a problem related to partnership. And coming to the last question number 6, smaller bits. So here again, you have sometimes you have 15 marks and 5 marks. Sometimes you may have smaller bits, right? Again, now when you're reading for the first time, you just scan through the question and see which are the ones which are difficult, which you think you can drop, and on the remaining questions you should focus. Also, while reading questions like this of, let us say, non-profit organization, when you're reading the question, okay, let me just show you the question paper. Yeah, don't read the amounts. Amounts doesn't matter whether it is 500, 5 lakhs, 5 crores, doesn't matter. Are you able to understand these receipts, payments, and these adjustments? That is what you need to worry about, right? So this is how you should broadly approach the paper that comes in the examination. Stay cool. In the 15 minutes time, decide what you have to attempt, what you want to attempt, and then you can come back to question number 1. Important things: true and false reasonings are correct, very much important. Narration, very, very important. Then working notes, very, very, very important, because working notes also carry marks. Okay. Sometimes the question may carry an error. In that case, you have to write a assumption, what even institute also mentions at the top. Wherever necessary, suitable assumption should be made and disclosed by way of note forming part of the answer. Working notes also should form part of the answer. That is to say, if there is any conflicting information, if you have taken certain assumptions, mention that assumptions upfront. Okay. So that's how you should approach. Yes. You can do working notes first, and then you can take up the final answer next. So that is also possible. Okay, so you can do working. I in fact had done working notes first, and then I had taken up the P&L and balance sheet in all matters, foundation, inter, final, everywhere. I had taken that approach only. Okay, right now that we have covered most of the things that I have to disclose or discuss with you. Now the time has come to discuss one of the trickiest chapter, that is non-profit organization. Why am I calling it trickiest? Because a lot of times students come back and say, we are not able to solve this, we are not able to solve that, some specific questions. And if you have any specific question from this particular chapter, I will be covering up largely the adjustments related to subscriptions, where a lot of students make silly mistakes. Then your if there is a building account or a fixed asset account, then you have your any other item of expenditure which you have where you're prepaid and outstanding and all of those things. That is what we will be covering up, right? So we'll start off with that. If you have any doubt in this particular topic or particular subject topic of this subject, you can ask the questions here, right? And those of you who feel that we are already comfortable with this, we don't sorry, no, the specific topic today is NPO, so we'll be talking about NPO only. And for those of you who believe that we know this topic very well, you can start other preparations. You can leave the session. No hard feelings on that, right? So we'll start off with non-profit organization related adjustments. And first, let me tell you a trick which will help you to ensure that you don't make a mistake of tallying the non-profit organizations related problem, because that is where a lot of us struggle. And I've seen that in the papers what students have also written. We struggle to pick up the right information from the question and put it at the right place, right? So let me just open one now. Okay, I hope my screen is visible. So now, what is the speciality, or what is the thing about non-profit organization final accounts? Nothing different. It is simply a final accounts. Simply a final accounts. What would happen is you would be given either a receipts and payments account. Most likely, okay, most of the cases, this is the pattern. You would be given a receipts and payments account. From this, you would be given certain additional information, and you are required to prepare income and expenditure account, and you are required to prepare balance sheet. Generally, sometimes they may give you income and expenditure account and other information related to that, and they may ask you to prepare receipts and payment account. It is just a back working for all from. So what is the difference? Receipts and payment account is on a cash basis. Income and expenditure account is on an accrual basis. So cash basis and accrual basis. So from cash basis, we have to reach to the accrual basis of accounting, and we have to solve the particular question. Okay. Now, if I have to broadly classify receipts and payment account, whatever is given, you will have receipts and you will have payments. Okay. Only these two things would be there in the receipts and payment account. Obviously, opening balance and closing balance, right? Opening cash balance will go to the opening balance sheet if at all you need to prepare. Closing cash balance will go to the closing balance sheet if at all you need to prepare. Okay. Now, receipts can be of two things. One, it could be a receipts for related to income, or it may be a receipt related to a capital item. If it is a receipt related to income, I don't have to explain you what is to be done. This income related thing will go to the income side of income and expenditure. So if let us say there is an income here, and these are the expenditure here. Okay. All income. So the most important thing in a non-profit organization is to identify whether it is an income related item or a capital related item. Now there comes the question, how do we distinguish? So first criteria is if it is something which is related to, if the question itself says, it is a capital fund receipt, or it is a subscription, it's a donation receipt, it is a building amount receipt for building construction, something which is specific to capital items or balance sheet items, that will be taken to the capital, or that will be taken to the balance sheet. Okay. So they may say contribution received for building construction. donation received for building construction. So these all will form part of your building fund and you will show them in the balance sheet. Generally, if subscription is received, subscription will be an income item. The company, the NPO has sold old newspapers, that receipt, whatever has been got, will be an income item. Okay. The company has got some, fees by selling, let us say they will sell refreshment, they will sell some entry tickets. All of those things are income related item and they will come to the credit side of your income and expenditure account as incomes. Okay. Now, I will specifically come to treatment of outstanding, prepaid and all of that. I'll give you a framework. With that framework, you'll be able to understand how much should go to current period, how much should go to balance sheet. Okay, that we'll discuss later. But first thing, identify income related items and capital related items. Now, there is a specific thing, important thing here on entrance fees. Now, for entrance fees, they will mention how much is to be capitalized, and then accordingly, you can capitalize and show it in the balance sheet, right? So these are the two things. On payment side, you will have expenses or some capital items again. Now, what are these capital items? Purchase of fixed assets, purchase of sports related equipment, all of those things, they will form part of the balance sheet adjustments, and balance expenses will form part of your expenditure account. So, miscellaneous newspaper purchases, expenditure on some, refreshments, expenditure on organizing certain tournaments, all of those things, which does not have specific fund available in the balance sheet, will form part of your expenditure. You have to be very clear about these two separations or demarcations. Only then you'll be able to solve a problem from non-profit organization. See, adjustments of outstanding, prepaid and all of those things are minor issues. Those are basically your logic based, treatments. Important thing is, where should we take a specific item in the income and expenditure account or in the balance sheet? Okay. So what we'll do is, let me share the screen with question. Okay, so here I'll take one question that will help us understand the framework that we are talking about. Right. Summary of receipts and payments of AMA Society for the year ended 31st March 2021 are as follows. Okay, so receipts and payment has been given. Subscription received 5 lakhs. Donation raised for meeting revenue expenditure 1,50,000. Interest on investments at 9%. Now, see, as you read the question, interest on investment at 9% means you have earned 90,000 at 9%, means there is some investment. There is some investment which will come in the balance sheet. So this is how you need to read the question paper. Okay. Then charity show collection is again an income. Okay. Then payment for medicine supply 3 lakhs. Honorarium paid to doctors 1 lakh. These are all expenditure items. 2,80,000 of salary, expenditure. Sundry expenses 10,000, expenditure. Equipment purchase. So the moment you see equipment purchased, then you can consider that this is a balance sheet item and it will go to the balance sheet. Charity show expenses 15,000. So now here you can see charity show collection is 125 and expenses is 15,000. You can show them as a net amount, or income you can show on the income side, expenses you can show on the expenses side. Then additional information. Now this information is very, very important, because based on this additional information, you will be able to prepare the balance sheet, opening or closing, depending on the question. Subscription due. Subscription due means we have not yet received this subscription. We have not yet received this subscription. As on 1st of April, that is beginning of the year, it is 15,000. And as at the end of the year, it is 22,000. Then subscription received in advance, 12,000, 7,000. Stock of medicine. Now, the moment we stock, I give you a formula which will help you understand that how much of stock of medicines has been purchased or consumed and all of those things we can see. Now, stock of medicine, if you see 1 lakh here, 1,50,000 here. Now, stock has increased, but correspondingly, we would have purchased something. So you go back to the question and see, did we purchase some medicine? Payment for medicine supply. So 3 lakhs we have paid. This, okay, again, this does not say that we have purchased. This says we have paid for medicine supply. So we have to see if there are any creditors also. Amount, see this one, amount due for medicine supply 90,130. So You have to interlink the adjustments before solving in the examination. Amount due for medicine supply opening balance was 90, closing balance is 130, and we have made certain payments also. From that, we will be able to calculate purchases. Now, sometimes in hurry, what would you do? They have said payment for medicine supply. So this much is the medicine purchased. Opening plus purchase minus closing is the consumption. That is the mistake that we can do if we are in a hurry. This says only payment, and because there are amount due, there are creditors for medicine supply. You have to adjust that medicines, payment whatever has been done. Identify how much has been purchased, and then from that purchases you can calculate the consumption. Value of equipment 210 to 300, and there is a purchases as well. Okay, value of building 5 lakhs to 4 lakh 80,000, which means 20,000 of depreciation unless there is an addition. Cash balance is given, and for you to save time, they have also given opening balance of capital fund. You are required to prepare income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st March of 21 and balance sheet as on 31st March of 21. Now, in examination, to save time and to ensure that you don't make mistakes, take one full side paper for income and expenditure and next full side paper for balance sheet. Sir, what if we are left with some space at the end? You strike it off, but take full sides only. The reason being, if at all you have to do some adjustments, if at all you have done some mistakes, it will be very difficult if you leave lesser space. So don't worry, you have paid examination fees. Make full use of the paper that you can. So take full side, one side balance sheet, one side income and expenditure, write it. And after that, you can start saying working note, or you can write the working note in advance also. But a more logical way would be one full page for balance sheet, one full page for income and expenditure, followed by working notes. How many number of pages you want for working notes, it will be available. Now, by looking at the question, you should be able to understand what are the working notes needed. So as you read the question, you know subscription has an adjustment. Donation raised for meeting revenue expenditure, no adjustment, but it says for meeting revenue expenditure, so this will be an income side item only. Interest on investment, there is an adjustment. Why? Because we need to know what is the investment value. They have not given here. They have not mentioned that there is some investment here, but because there is an interest income on investment, we have to see whether that forms part or whether there is an investment value which has to be taken to the balance sheet. Charity show, there is no adjustment. Payment for medicine supply, there is an adjustment to this, so we'll have a working note for this. Honorarium to doctors, was there anything outstanding? There is nothing outstanding, so no adjustments for that. Salaries, there is no adjustment to that. Sundry expenses, no adjustment. Equipment purchase, we will add it to the equipment account and calculate the depreciation, and charity show expenses, what has been given. Okay, right? So let me just share the screen. In the meanwhile, if you guys, any one of you have any questions, let me just have a look at it. No, so I will not be revising full accounts. I will be taking up for now non-profit related adjustments, right? If time permits at a future date, or if you have any specific questions, you can always ask us at the forums, but this is specific for non-profit organizations only. Then, if you have any specific illustration related question, please feel free to post them at our forum. We have a very active forum where, the faculties, the other students, all of them, they try to solve your queries. So you can actually, put it out there. I don't think there should be any problem there. Okay, then. Yeah, that's it. Let me come back to the screen. As we read the question, we know the first item, subscription received. Subscription received, because it has a working note, immediately start the working note. Working note number 1. Now, 2 types of working notes are possible: a statement format and a ledger format. Whichever format you are comfortable with, you can use both the formats. There is no harm in making a ledger. There is no harm in making a statement format for working notes. So subscription received is 5 lakhs. So let us say working note number 1. subscription received 5 lakhs. Okay, subscription received 5 lakhs. Then what are the adjustments? Subscription due 15,000, 22,000. Subscription received in advance 12,000, 7,000. A lot of you would have already learned by heart what is to be done. It is perfectly fine. I don't say that that is not the way to write in the exams. It is perfectly fine. For those of you who find it difficult to remember, just ask yourself the question: of this subscription received 5 lakhs, how much pertains to the current period and how much pertains to either the previous year or the next year? Meaning to say, what is this subscription due? We have to receive this subscription when? As on 1st of April, 15,000 we have to receive. Okay. Now, I'll just write a subscription due on 1st of April, 2020. That is the date. Yeah, 2020, 15,000. Now, whether I should add or reduce? See, this subscription, whatever was due, we would have received along with this 5 lakhs. We would have received along with this 5 lakhs. But that subscription pertains to the prior period. The subscription pertains to the prior period. It does not pertain to the current period. So you will say less subscription due as on 1st of April minus 15,000. That's the first thing. Okay. Then similarly, what will you do for subscription due as on 31st of March? So that is the amount we have not yet received. So we'll treat it separately. Then subscription received in advance on 1st of April 2020 itself, we have received something in advance. Meaning to say, this subscription pertains to current period or maybe a future period. If it is for a future period, it gets adjusted here. So subscription received in advance as on 1st of April of 2020, we can presume that it is for the immediately next period. So we will say add subscription in advance as on 1st of April of 20. How much is that? 12,000. Okay. Then this is the amount pertaining to the amount received. Then subscription due as on 31st of March of 21, 22,000. Did we receive this amount? We did not receive this amount. This 22,000 is not part of this 5 lakhs. This is outstanding. We have yet to receive. We have not yet received. We will receive maybe in the next year, but this belongs to the income for the current period. So you will say add subscription outstanding as on 31st of March of 21. The amount is 22,000. Then subscription received in advance. Now this received in advance is included in this 5 lakhs. In this 5 lakhs, the amount that you have received in advance is already included. But does it belong to the current year? It does not belong to the current year. So please take it to the next year. So you will say less subscription in advance. Sorry. Subscription in advance as on 31st March of 21. And the amount given is 7,000 minus 7,000. Okay. Now the fundamental concept that you need to understand, I'm repeating again, is this 5 lakhs. This 5 lakhs includes subscription due as on 1st of April and subscription in advance as on 31st of March. And because it does not belong to the current period, we are excluding these, right? And this 12,000 was received last year. This 12,000 was received last year, belongs to the current period, and hence we are adding. And this outstanding we may receive in the next period, and hence we are adding. Right. So once you do these adjustments, you will get subscription amount. The total, if you do, that comes to 5 lakhs 12,000. Now, some of you may not be comfortable with this. You want to prepare a ledger format. You can prepare a ledger format as well. How ledger format? On 1st of April of 2020, subscription due on 1st of April of 2020. That means we have to receive. We have to receive. If we have to receive, means it is a debit balance. So to subscription outstanding as on 1st of April of 20. This is a debit amount. This is the amount that you have to receive, 15,000. Okay. Then subscription in advance as on 1st of April. So this is received in advance. If it is received in advance, this will have a credit balance. So you can say buy subscription in advance as on 1st of April 20. This is how much? This is 12,000. Okay. Then subscription outstanding as on 31st March. So this is the amount that we have to receive. So there will be a closing balance for this. So by subscription outstanding, what is the amount? 22,000. Okay. Then subscription received in advance. Subscription received in advance is not for the current period. This is for the next period. We have received in advance. It will have a credit balance, and hence you will see this side to subscription in advance, that is 7,000. Then we have received the amount of 5 lakhs. That amount received means what? Debit bank, credit subscription. So by bank 5 lakhs. After you do this, we can prepare a summation this side. 534 is this side, 22 is this side. So balance to income and expenditure. Balance amount will be 534 minus 7,000 minus this 5,12,000. This is also another way to do if you have forgotten the first way. Okay. Then no sir, we don't want to do it this way. Is there any other way? See, just this logic itself, you can convert it and do it another way. That is, this can be the subscription account. Whatever you have received, you will credit the entire amount to subscription account, whatever is the received. Okay. Then subscription which was outstanding as on 1st of April, you will transfer to this account. That would have a debit balance at the beginning. So when you transfer it, you will debit subscription, credit outstanding. Then similarly, reverse treatment for something which is outstanding at the end of the period. Then subscription in advance was a credit amount, right? It was received in advance. It is shown under liability. That will be transferred to the credit here, and the ending balance will be shown here. Whatever is the difference, 5,12,000 will be taken to the income and expenditure account. So that is the first adjustment that we have done. Okay. Where is it gone? By subscription, 5,12,000. Right. First item is done. Okay. So once this is done, this subscription part is done, and this adjustment is done. Now, as you are preparing, because you have left one space for balance sheet, immediately post this in balance sheet. You can leave space for capital fund, some 3-4 lines. Then you can post on the liability side, subscription received in advance 7,000. On the asset side, subscription due 22,000 for the balance sheet as on 31st of March of 21. This will ensure that you will not miss out on any item as you are preparing or as you are writing the answers, right? And donation raised for meeting revenue expenditure. This is a straightforward expense item, income item. You will credit it to the income account. Then interest on investment, again, interest on investment 90,000, straight away you will credit to the income account. Yeah, here, donation and interest on investment. Okay. Then the moment you see interest on investment at 9%, you have earned 90,000, means there is definitely some investment amount. So if 9% is 90,000, if we can have immediately working note number 2. If interest at 9% is 90,000. So if 9% represents 90,000, what will be 100%? Simple cross multiplication. You can just take a cross multiplier, this multiplied by this, divided by this. So $10,000 divided by 9%, multiplied by 100% again, you'll get 10 lakhs. Now this 10 lakhs is the investment value which has to be shown in the balance sheet. So as you take one item, ensure that the treatment in P&L and the balance sheet, or income and expenditure and the balance sheet, is done properly. Okay, so you get the investment amount here. Okay, outstanding subscription is come here, advance subscription is come here. Okay, done. Then Charity show collection 1,25,000. So you can show it on the income side and reduce these expenses, or show these expenses separately on the expenditure side. Both the treatment are perfectly acceptable. Okay, we are done with receipt side. Now come to the payment side. Payment for medicine supply 3 lakhs. So you have paid to the suppliers 3 lakhs, and there is a amount due for medicine supply. These are basically creditors, opening balance and closing balance. So what you can do is, creditor for medicines, there is opening balance. By balance brought down, how much is that? By balance brought down 90,000. You have paid to bank. The question said you have paid 3 lakhs, right? And to closing balance, balance carried down is given to be 130, right? That means if you see here, 430 is the total on the debit side and 90 is on the credit side. The difference 430 minus this one 340. This is 5 purchases. These are the total purchases of medicine. But did we use the entire purchased medicines? No. There is stock of medicine also available. So you can have another working note. Number 4, cost of medicines consumed. Now, for this, you can remember the simple formula. Opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock is equal to consumption. This you would see across multiple places where you use inventory accounting. Simple formula, opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock gives you the consumption. What is the opening stock? Opening stock of medicine. So see, as you read this, right, amount due for medicine supply 90,000 and 130. This 130 is a liability, immediately post it to the creditors account. And then put a small tick, don't put a big tick, small tick that you have treated this item. Then stock of medicine 1 lakh and 1,50,000. So 1,50,000 is the closing balance. Closing balance, show it under stock side immediately. Consumption, it says 1 lakh and 150, right? So 1 lakh plus purchases of 340 minus the closing stock of 150. Consumption of medicines is 2,90,000. This is an expenditure item and you will debit it to the income and expenditure account, right? So 2,90,000 is the medicine consumption. Immediately closing stock of medicine 1,50,000, you can show it off here, and your creditors for medicine 1,30,000. So as you do, you keep on posting. You'll ensure that you do not make mistakes or you do not miss out the information given in the question, right? Then coming back, honorarium to doctors directly and expenditure 1 lakh, no adjustment. Salaries 280, no adjustment. Sundry expenses 10,000, no adjustment. Equipment purchase 1,50,000. Then we have value of equipment 210 and 3 lakhs. So you can prepare an equipment account. To balance brought down, it is 2,10,000. Then you have paid to bank. Purchases was 150. By balance carried down, balance carried down is 3 lakhs. So the difference is depreciation, right? So 210 plus 150 minus 3 lakhs is the depreciation, 60,000. Now this depreciation will go to income and expenditure, post it there. Immediately post the equipment account also in the balance sheet, right? Similarly, building 5 lakh to 480, no purchases. So 20,000 is depreciation. So 2 depreciation entries and 2 fixed assets entries. So immediately take up the depreciation, show this here. Now, once you have prepared a working note, you need not show the detailed computation here. You can simply say equipment plus purchases minus depreciation, this much. Need not write balancing figure because you have prepared a separate working note for that already. Okay, right? Then cash balance is given, you can directly take it in the balance sheet, and opening balance of capital fund, compute the surplus, add that, and your balance sheet is also done. So as you read the question one by one, you put the items in the balance sheet and income and expenditure, you will be able to complete the question. 10 marks should not be making a mistake. Now here a trial balance was not given. Now I will be giving you a quick trick to ensure that whenever a trial balance is given or whenever a receipt and payment account is given, how not to make mistakes so that the trial balance does not, the final accounts do not tally. Okay, so always remember, in a trial balance, you have debit items, you have credit items. Debit items can be expenses or assets. Credit items will be incomes or liabilities or capital. Okay, this is what is possible. Now, each item in the trial balance can appear only once. Each item in the trial balance can appear only once, either in the trading P&L account or in the balance sheet. Make this rule very clear. If there is an adjustment, it will appear twice. If there is an adjustment, it will appear twice. Now, what is your responsibility, or what is the way you should write? You should ensure that you identify expenses and assets. Expenses, pick it up, keep them in the trading account and keep them in the P&L account. Assets, take them to the balance sheet. Income, take them to the trading P&L account. Liabilities, capital, take them to the balance sheet. Any adjustment, give double impact. Any adjustment, give double impact. Follow this principle. I bet that if your trial balance, if you see, conceptually you may do a mistake. You may treat an item of expense as an item of asset, but your balance sheet will always and always and always and always tally. This is true for your final accounts. This is true for your partnership final accounts. This is true for your admission of partners. This is true for your NPO accounts. Everywhere this principle will hold good. Now, few quick adjustments what can come up both in same thing will with NPO also. From this receipts and payment, income, capital, expense, capital. That's all you need to do. And once you give the adjustment, there will not be any problem in tallying the balance sheet. That is the last of your problem you should be concerned about in the examination. Now we took one case where we saw subscription account. Sometimes what happens is you get expenses as per receipts and payment account. Okay, as per receipts and payment account, there are some expenses given. To this, you will always add. Why will you add outstanding at end of the year? Because this expense pertains to the current period and we have not paid. So whatever is outstanding at the end of the period, you will add. You will reduce outstanding at beginning. Why? Because that expense was for previous period and we have paid in the current period, and that is included in this expense in the receipts and payments account. So whatever is the outstanding at the beginning of the period, you will reduce. Then if it is prepaid, if you're prepaid means included in this expense, prepaid means for next year. So you will reduce prepaid at the end. Prepaid from last year, expense was paid last year, but expense pertains to the current period. So prepaid, you will add. Simple. Or for if you get, a lot of times get confused, just fix one. Outstanding at the end, we will add. So outstanding at the beginning, we will reduce. This is for remembering, not the logic. Then, because outstanding at the end we have added, prepaid at the end we will reduce. And prepaid at the end, because we have reduced, prepaid at the beginning we will add. Just for your remembering purpose. Okay, this is the technique I have given. But again, I have told you, I'm repeating it multiple times. You should not miss out on, or you should not be concerned about tallying the balance sheet. Take the numbers, put them at the right places. Even if it is not 100% accurate, you will get 7 marks, 6 marks, 8 marks, whatever marks that you need to obtain, right? So this is what I had largely. We have taken a quick question on NPO. If you have any specific NPO related doubt or any other accounting related doubt, which I can address here, I'll be happy to address them. Otherwise, we can call off the session once we are done. Sakshi, which credit balance? Can you please elaborate? Because it has been some time I have been doing it there. Security deposit students. So security deposit means what? Security deposit means the students have paid certain amount to the institute or the educational institute, and the security deposit has to be returned back to the students. So if you have to return back the security deposits to the students, means you have to, you have to show it as a liability. That is your liability, because you have to pay back. If you have to pay it back, that becomes your liability, right? So that is how you should be, and addressing that. Sakshi, if you are there, you can ask me what specific credit balance you are referring to. And okay. So no more questions. Thanks for taking time out and attending the session. If you have any questions left over, you can feel free to ask us at our forums. All the best for our examination. Stay cool, stay calm. You will do it, right? Just take it as another examination. Go with a full preparation and do well in your examination. All the very best.